Hi, it's Najis Ahmed, Clinical Director of Ambimind.
Hi, my name's Runo Ahmed. I'm the Practice Manager here at Ambimind, and today we're joined by our guest speaker, Rebecca. Thanks for joining us, Rebecca.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm fine, thank you. Are you?
Yeah, not bad.
Good. So today's episode is episode 2, and we are going to be discussing mental health and Rebecca's journey within the modelling industry. So I've got a few questions for you, Rebecca. So are you ready for me?
Yep.
Okay. So what does mental health mean to you?
I think for me, because I've been around it in the industry a long time, I adapted a career to around it through blogging, online events and events across the UK. It's a journey and it's an experience that only a person as an individual can take on their own. I feel like it's physical and mental. It's not just about your mental health, because your physical health will create your overall mental health and vice versa. And I think that everybody should give themselves more of I can't think what to say.
We say more time.
Like more, how do I explain it? They give themselves more availability to take time to heal, more availability to take a step back and go, do you know what, maybe today's not my day, but tomorrow can be. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's hard, isn't it? It's really hard, and you have to be able to appreciate where you are in life before you can step forward to do anything else, because every day is a struggle and everyone goes through things at a different time scale as well. Like my mental health's not the same as yours and ours isn't the same as yours.
Absolutely.
So we all need to just respect each other's mental health journey individually.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's because we are different people and our experience are different, our journey are different.
Yeah.
Yes, life is a long process, and within the life we have two different health we need to look after. It's a physical and mental well-being that makes us as a whole as a person. So mental health, I think I've been lots of different times that I did the same. I have said what does mental health mean to me is that it's about being looking after yourself overall, understanding your thoughts, understanding your feelings, and understanding your behaviour actually, and how you're going to be able to maintain that a good well-being overall for you physically and mentally. That's what mental health means to me.
Okay, thank you. So now we're going to move on to mental health within the modelling industry.
Yeah.
So just a few questions on that. So within the modelling industry, how do you navigate the pressure of following a certain beauty standard?
It's hard because along the way everything changes. The industry changes, social media changes, and you kind of have to adapt with it. For example, before 2017, you had to be a certain weight, size, height type thing, whereas now you'll find that across social media a lot more people with different weights and stuff like that are coming into it, and a lot more companies and brands are taking them on board. So it's getting easier than what it was, but at the same time it's a lot of pressure, because for me, I have a big social media account, so I feel that if you put something on wrong, I get a lot of criticism for it because I've done it a long time. So it gives me bad anxiety, because you can put a picture on and then I'll be like, no, I've got to take it down.
Is that what you have just said to that? Is like because it depends on the experience that you feel more pressure, or it just as a model itself is a pressure?
I think the more experience and the longer you've been in the modelling industry, the harder it gets. People think it gets easier, but it doesn't, because it has a mental strain on you.
Okay. Rebecca, in terms of you have said about you said the weight.
Yeah.
Nowadays, before 2017, there's a weight concern, or now there's a different weight that other industries taking on. What do you mean by that then?
So, for example, a lot more people now, you've got the bigger plus size models, they're accepted. Okay. You've got ladies and both men, gender differences that are now accepted that wasn't accepted before a few years ago. So I feel like the more the industry's growing, the more acceptance is available for people that wouldn't usually or wouldn't previously have been accepted.
Okay. And on that sense of like, do you think is that like, is a modelling is very, based on the occupation, is very much like you need to be perfect shape, perfect body, and you need to be everything like a more of like a perfectionist trait. Do you think like, is the mental health is very much the people have a focus on that, or is like it's cause sometimes because of the fear of stigma nowadays, people say less talk about it, as well as that some of the models that don't want to come in the front and talk about their mental health because of losing their future work. Do you think it's something like that?
Yeah, I feel like you have to be very influential to what's around you. And like I said, it's a lot more, there's a lot more available now than there was. So a few years ago, it would be you have to be 7.5 stone, you can't change your hair colour, you need to look perfect, you've got a spot or something like that. Whereas now, the industry's embracing it, they're allowing it, and they're saying, well, your imperfections are perfect. But at the same time, there's a lot of people that don't agree with it.
Okay, so it's like a 50-50, you say?
For me personally, see, I started in lingerie.
Okay.
So for me, everything had to be perfect.
Okay.
Because there's not really much covered up.
How this affects you? I'm not just saying just as the mental health. I'm saying as overall as a person. How this the being having the like the maintaining perfect shape.
Yeah.
It's not something very simple. You just wake up and
No.
you're able to do it. So how you did? You must be gone through a lot of stress, a lot of like a pressure. So this is all unknown pressure and stress to meet people's need, like your designer needs or your whoever that. Like a sponsoring their need, so meeting everyone's needs. How you deal with your own needs then, like your own.
It's depressing. I won't lie to you. I think for a long time it destroyed me, because you have to stick to being something that you're not. The real you doesn't come out on a picture.
So you're always like a masking, and you always
You're
like a masking away.
To me, you're a monkey on a wheel. Oh, I'm in a circus. It's something that you have. It's backbreaking, and that's the best way to put it. Like, you have to like stand this way, stand that way, and then you're on that for like 6-7 hours. But then people, for example, I did lingerie, so people will assume I am a certain type of person because I chose a career that is preferably bums and boobs, whereas other people don't agree with it. So then, because you start in that industry and you maintain and you go up and up and up and up, you go up brands, then you get the bigger brands, but people don't really know anything other than what they see on the picture. And for me, it became depressing, like physically depressing, because I had to keep up with an image that was completely fake.
How do you deal with it then? What helps to you to like keep yourself in?
I didn't. I crashed and burned.
Okay.
And then in the end, I was like, I can't do this anymore.
So it must be very hard for you to go through the pace. Is there any support you got, or you come out like you said? Actually, I'm feeling this way. Do you able to like come out and talk about it, speak freely, or are you able to express your feeling to someone else? This
year was the first year where I said I was gonna start to show the public the real me, not the pictures, not the pool table shots, not the Playboys and the lingerie images that people see online, because people built a false perception of who I am and what I'm about, and I feel like it backed me into a corner where I didn't want to be here anymore. Like, I physically had had enough. And then, obviously, I have a completely different personal life to what people see on social media. So, people see the pictures of the Maldives and the travelling and the luxury lifestyle, and it couldn't be more further from the truth. And I feel like this year, for me, is where people learn the realism behind Rebecca and who she is and what she's about and what she actually deals with.
That sounds very courageous. Like, that's absolutely brilliant. Like, you took that step. Yes. So what made you took that step to say, I want to show true Rebecca to this world, that the Rebecca people knows is not that, the true perceptions of Rebecca. What made you to do that? What helped you to step take the step?
I think depression is living in a character that's not you. And anxiety combined with that is your body telling you that something's not right inside. And for me, because I follow a very mindset and spiritual lifestyle at home, the two wasn't mixing. I was on social media and I was posting, for example, trips and all these luxury, beautiful pictures and that, but then I'm at home with my hair in a scruff bun, trackies on, and watching cartoons with my kids. But
So you are your
don't see
character.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like building a second persona, a second personality, and eventually the fake personality gets tired. And there's only so much you can do after you crash and burn. I love my job, I love my career. I would stay in it for a long time, but I feel for me I have to go back into it being me, not being
That other person.
the person that people have grown to understand and love.
Do you think that having the, like, you going back to the real, you could have an effect on your the job or the future work that you get in? What do you think now?
I think when people start to see the real Rebecca, the one that has anxiety, the one that has ADHD, the one that can't sit still, the one that's tapping her foot now in a chair because she's very nervous, I think, well, I hope that people will relate to it a lot more and kind of let the other side go. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Appreciate more of you, who you are as a person.
I can only try, innit?
But that's the best try you're doing. So well
That's
done
it.
for that. So you should be proud of yourself, Rebecca.
It's scary, but there's only one way to find out, isn't there?
Absolutely.
So how would you say the modelling industry has evolved in terms of identifying and addressing mental health amongst models?
I think it's only just gone into it really in the past few years, hasn't it?
Absolutely, from 2017,
Ye-
you have said.
Yeah.
Because from 2017 till 2021, do you ever hear of the Paris thin? There's a model was because of the pressure of the being having a perfect body and shape, that she died through the starvation to have the perfect body.
Yeah.
So since then, it was a little bit more awareness to that towards the people and then the model, the fashion industry, because mental health is like more of a seldom acknowledged in fashion industry. It's not really much that really, because they always try to be having perfect body and shape to impress the peers, impress the designers, impress the market, impress the social media. So since then, Paris things happen because these models in Paris, she's doing a modeling in France, or she want to have this perfect body. Because of that, she been having problematic eating behaviors. And then she passed away because of that. And since then, the models are accepting over BMI, like a little bit more of a healthy BMI, that they're looking at it. They're having like a little bit, but still there is a fear of a stigma of mental health, as well as the model, they want to come out and talk about their mental health because in case they are losing their future work as well. So there is stigma, because if you think about, like, say, is very much the two terms in a modeling is go through is that, like, you have physical demand.
Yeah.
As well as that is health concern. Two things, because it's long hours in modeling and you're constantly pleasing someone else rather than being you. You're changing for the person that give you the script, you're doing this and that move and that move, constantly under pressure. That does affect their mental well-being. So mental health is very much kind of like affected quite easily in the modeling industry because of the pressure. And again, depression and anxiety is quite common, and as well as their self-confidence, because you stop pleasing other people. Do you agree with that, Rebecca?
See,
from your experience,
I can relate to it because when I hit a peak, we'll say, in my modelling career, I stopped eating. I'd eat once a day. I'd be so conscious of calories. I wouldn't drink fizzy drinks. And then it got to the point where you end up contemplating and going down other lines to stop weight gain. For example, weight tablets, juice drinks. I mean, when I'm going to a shoot, or I know I've got a shoot coming, I won't eat. I'll live on food supplements, the tablets, the weight tablets, and I literally can eat a bag of crisp, that is it. But then with that, you get tired, you got no energy, and obviously I've got kids, so the two don't mix, and this is why I feel like the more we have conversations like this in the public, and the more questions like this are asked, the more demand there'll be for change, which will support models in a healthy environment.
Absolutely, that will come across, and then they create awareness about that. And because it's in the model industry, the most important effect to get is a problematic eating behaviours.
For me, I think, like you've said, you've hit the nail on the head. It's demanding.
Absolutely.
It's long days. It's back breaking.
And also travelling as well, isn't it? A lot of travelling you guys need to do.
See, it depends though, because some people, if you're on like a well-known brand, for example, they'll pay for your travel. You'll be there the night before. You'll be well rested. It isn't all bad. It's a brilliant industry to be in. I mean, you can network. You can have brilliant after parties and stuff like that. But I think the whole stigma around modelling itself doesn't have the best of reputations. It gives children from a young age a complex.
Absolutely.
It gives them a need and a want to become something that they see on social media, for example, mine, but behind the scenes it's not real. Do you know what I mean? I spend a lot of my time in a hospital with my youngest because she's got respiratory disease, and it's not really something that I share on social media. It's not something I make public. But if people actually saw the realism behind what they thought I was a perfect model to, they'd be like, hang on a minute, that's not what I want to sign up for. Do you know what I mean? It is just a career, it's just a job. It's not a lifestyle, it's just a job.
You've mentioned social media quite a lot as well. So what do you think, how do you think, that plays a part in a model's mental health?
I think it plays the worst part. It really, really does, because, again, you've got young girls, young boys, going on social media, they'll be following their favourite influencers or their favourite models, and they see this perfect lifestyle, so they will push and push and push to see and become that. Don't get me wrong, social media comes with its perks. You get free clothes, you get free trips, depending on the scale that you're at. But again, it is very, 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 very time consuming, it's backbreaking, and it does have a strain on your physical and mental health. So social media, but they are getting better. Like Instagram now, you can hide your likes. That was a really big problem at one point, because everyone was striving to have the most. You can now change comments and stop people commenting certain things. So there is a lot of anti-bullying policies and that which and anti-stalking policies and stuff like that, which are being updated. But I do think social media is a big negative when it comes to my industry. But that's just my personal opinion.
And from your personal experience, do you able to, there's anything that you could share with us, you felt that social media was affected you somehow?
2018, I went through probably one of the most horrific moments of my career.
Okay?
Yeah, I'm alright. We ended up with you get good and bad. And we ended up with what I can only describe as a living hell through social media, through trolling, through hate, it was horrendous. And in the end, we had to get the police and that involved, through people going on a journey of hate rather than a journey of anything positive. And then in the end, it become that horrendous to live with. There was people following me, there was people at my kids' schools, there was people taking pictures of me wherever I was going, and in the end, it become that I'd give up by that point, and I tried to commit suicide from it.
And how you combat that then? What helped you to today?
I don't think anything does come back from that. I think that once you go through down that path, that version that went down that path with you has to die with you at that moment. This is just my personal experience, but for me, when I went through it, I didn't intend to wake up, but I did. And then when I woke up, I decided that everything from that moment before had to go with it. That version of me no longer existed for be able to me move forward, for me to be able to get a clean slate, for me to be able to heal, to project positivity, not only onto me, onto my kids. And the only thing I kept was the 2 suicide notes that I left my kids and my mum. And that's the only reminder of that I've got. And I'll always keep them because they remind me of just how strong and how far I've come.
Absolutely.
And how much I deserve to rebuild from that moment. No one's perfect.
Do you think that's your starting point, that helped you to be grow stronger? The when you said that you don't want to wait, or it was?
The past 4 years for me have been really hard. Because obviously I came through that. Then I had twins. And for the past few years we've been battling. I can't even explain, to keep my youngest on the better side of life, because she struggles and she has a lot of medication just to get her through the day. And I think at that point when Taya got ill, it wasn't about me anymore. It was about, I needed to be a mum for the baby. I needed my mental health to be strong, sat at the bottom of a hospital bed, praying that she made it through the night, praying that no one took her away. And for me, I think at that point, that's when my mental health changed. Everything around me changed. I was sat in a hospital with an expensive car in the car park, an expensive watch on my wrist, and I'm sat there thinking, none of this matters if she doesn't pull through. And it made me grow up. It made me realise that social media is not important, modelling's not important, the holidays are not important, the clothes are not important, none of this materialistic lifestyle that I'm living, or that people think I'm living, is not important. What's important is your health and your happiness and your family.
It's very touching, Rebecca.
Oh, don't, because I'll cry. But for that, I think after that moment, everything changed for me. And I decided that I'm out of everything until the foundations is set, and I realised that that's what's never set before. Do you know what I mean? I went into it all for a selfish reason.
Just be you. So
Yeah.
you work for you, me, and
Yeah.
then you realise actually it's not about me.
Correct, $1,000,000%.
It's about everyone around me.
Yeah.
It's about my child. It's about being mom. So you start to understand yourself. That day you get to know yourself well. Okay.
I think that day,
That's the meaning of a life.
that day when I was sat at the bottom of the baby's hospital bed, and I remember, I'll never forget it. She was sat there and there was all these wires and stuff, and I was just sat there praying, and I'm praying, and I'm not a religious person. But I remember just sat there, and I remember making a deal and just saying, listen, it'll all change, just pull her through. And then from that day, the morning when she started to get better and the medication started to work, and she started to be and not live a bit of a normal life that she was only 2 at the time, but any baby can live, then I kept my promise.
Absolutely. That day that you sat down and you look at yourself and you check on yourself actually what's going wrong in my life and what could I do to improve. You made a deal to yourself that I will improve my life into a better way for my child.
Yeah.
It's not just about me. So sometimes the people need to just step back and think about where I am and where I want to go.
Yeah.
So that is very important. So it's really touching, and thank you very much for sharing for others.
You're welcome.
So Rebecca, how has your understanding of mental health evolved throughout your personal journey?
Oh, massively, because it's taught me strength, resilience. It's taught me to take every day as it comes, and it's taught me that you can't live in the future, you've got to live for now. And that life can change in the blink of an eye, and that you should love more, laugh more, and live a little bit more in the moment. So I think for me, my journey itself has taught me a lot. It's made me grow up in the respect of I understand life's not just about me. There's other people in it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. You know, Rebecca, I just want to go take it back to you a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
You know, when you start your journey in
Yeah.
modeling, at that time, because now you grow through the years and you are experienced and you know how to deal with it, and now you come to the term of it's just about you need to be enjoy the life, and
Yeah.
your mental health help you a lot. You said you learn a lot and
Yeah.
yourself and other people around you. But you know, in the beginning of your journey in the modeling,
Yeah.
how did you maintain that like power of it? How did you felt like to every day going to the modeling? How you maintained to meet their needs?
See, I got into modelling for all the wrong reasons. I got into modelling for my own personal confidence.
Okay.
I got into it because I felt that I wasn't good enough,
Okay.
and that
And how old are you at that time then?
2017, 2018, I went in, I'd done a shoot, a test shoot type of thing, and then I landed the opportunity to feature in Playboy magazine, and then from that moment on, everything changed. That was the pinnacle of my modelling career, that Playboy shoot.
Okay.
But I think as well it was also the downfall of me
In which way?
in every way, because you kind of like, you're on a chase for the high,
Okay.
for to be perfect, because everybody's seen how perfect you can be, so any little imperfection is not good enough.
So you are in a race to be perfect.
Yeah, that's exactly it. But then perfection, you're in a race to beat perfection. Where does it stop?
Do you really happy at that time? Do you
No,
feel
it was
like,
miserable.
okay. And then how about like, you know, them like say you being happy and you racing to be perfectionist, how would change your lifestyle? Do you other like eating normally, or you looking after, is there any change you have started to be?
I think everything changes because you have to change to try and fit in. But by changing to fit in, you become something you're not. Does that make sense? Like, I stopped eating more.
Okay.
You end up in circles, networking circles with people that put you in situations that you don't really want to be in, but you feel obliged, so you got to say yes, without going into too much detail. And I feel like the more you get into this bubble of perfection, the more you lose who you really are. And you lose your grounding, you lose everything about you.
Do you think like, do you feel like there is a certain moment that you felt like your reality of you was a real Rebecca?
I think the reality of who I was inside has always stayed with me, but you feel like you can't be yourself because you're going to be judged, and then you may lose a job, you may lose an opportunity, and it's them opportunities that you're chasing for that perfection to gain.
Absolutely, because there is a quote in the modelling industry, isn't it? You to be seen but not to be heard.
Yeah, whereas I've got ADHD, so I'm heard before I'm seen.
Absolutely. So sometimes how does that affect you then?
That's what I'm saying. So because I couldn't be myself, like, I can walk in and I can chill with the lads, I can have a buzz, I can have a laugh. But in that industry, you've got to be girly, which I'm not.
Yeah.
And The two don't mix.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Always go in the modern industry, mental health is in modern industry. Always like the same model are get impacted because of that call. You to be seen on that, but never to be heard.
Yeah.
Like you're not able to express your feelings, express your thoughts, or express your anything, any actions or anything of who you are. You need to always masking to be pleased them, the set or the people around you on that.
Yeah,
oppressions.
but then the masking causes stains.
Absolutely.
And then the stains cause distortion and confusion
Negative thinking and all
negative thinking, and before you know it, there's two different versions of you, and then it's like a split personality disorder.
You're matching the both person
you're
all
trying
the
to-
time,
it's like-
carrying it.
I wake up and I'm like, right, who've got to be today? Do I have to be Rebecca, or do I have to be me? And it's hard because then you've got to get Rebecca, for example, she's got to get dressed, she's got to put perfect clothes on, she's got to put perfect makeup on. Is that okay to wear? Or would somebody else rather me wear that? You'll put a pair of trainers on, they'll be like, why have you not wore heels? You'll put a dress on, it's like, why is it not pink?
And put yourself in a dilemma of actually, who am I now?
I think that's what I did. In the end, I got confused with who I was and what am I doing? Do you know what I mean? And then my personal life brought me back to reality. And
In what sense?
it took me out of what I needed to get out of. It pulled me out of what I was stuck from.
Absolutely. But everyone doesn't have the same like situations that
No.
you've gone through, isn't it? Because everyone now doesn't have the chance to check on themselves
No.
or to find out actually I'm living into his personality.
Yeah.
So
And it's hard.
What do you think how that will, because you experience in modern industry, what do you think how that will deal with their situation then? So I don't understand what they're going through
In what sense?
in the more bit like mentally. Like you said, the two person to carry in along with the masking, I'm this person this time, I'm this person that.
I seen a quote on social media the other day, and it says, if the flower doesn't grow, do you blame the flower or the environment? And it got me thinking. And I put it as a metaphor, as I was the flower. And I was sat there thinking, it's a good analogy, because which one do you actually blame? Do you blame the flower
Or the environment.
or the environment? And for me, you've got to blame the environment, because a flower only blooms in what's healthy around it. So as a person, if you take yourself as the flower, then you have to take a step back and evaluate what's going on around you to be able to grow like that flower. And for me, I feel like that's what I had to do. I had to step back and go, hang on a minute, this is not working. Why? Evaluate everything around me and, right, that's got to go, that's got to go, that's got to go, that's got to go. And then in the end, I felt there's nothing left. There's just me, this flower on its own.
And if you think about if you can change that environment because of the social pressure
Yeah.
or the people, because they live in, because you need to eat to live,
Yeah.
isn't it? So for the work pressure, social pressure, if you need to, can't change the environment, do you think is very important that people need to change their way to
Yes.
deal with the situations? And that is very important. It's not about the flower or environment, it's about you need to understand that. Who am I?
Yeah. To
Am
be
I
able
being
to
fair?
grow.
Absolutely. Am I being fair to myself? Yes, I'm in the very toxic environment, but what could I do about it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if people started to check in themselves, that doesn't matter which environment we are in or not. That doesn't matter. Matter is, am I know myself?
Yeah.
What kind of person? Yes, we can't change the whole situation.
Yeah.
But what we could do is that, because situation's never problematic, is that way that we interpret it. So if we interpret the situation a little bit in our way,
Well, we're a projection of our own thoughts,
Absolutely.
beliefs and actions. And I feel like that if you take a step back and evaluate your environment based on your thoughts, your beliefs and your actions, you can work out where you're going wrong.
Absolutely.
You can work out what doesn't fit in your world.
in your core belief, your own belief system, your own
Yeah.
world. So it's just about being resonant to yourself that situations in your own way.
100%. And I feel like from there, you can find out who you truly are and where you truly fit. And from that moment forward, I think everything changes. I think you've got a break to build. It's a bit like a caterpillar, isn't it?
Absolutely. So what do you think, like, you know, them like a young generation nowadays, the young people, like a teens that want to be modeled, they're looking at the social media and they want to be perfect like them. So
Don't do it.
What do you think, what advice you would say from, because you have the experience from that area, isn't it? What do you think?
If there was a teenager, for example, watching this now,
Yeah.
my advice would be to follow what they want to do. Be themselves. Be the shepherd, not the sheep, so to speak. And don't ever lose sight of who you are to try and fit into a society that don't even know who they are. Do you know what I mean? You are literally living in a world that nobody has a clue what they're doing anymore, because you're set by trends, or you're set by hashtags, or you're set by popular TikTok songs. I mean, I watched a TikTok the other day and the kid was chewing with its mouth open. I shouldn't say it, but the kid was chewing with their mouth open. And I'm thinking, this is what children are following. People think it's cool. It's not. It's got no manners. The kid's no manners. It's eating with its mouth open. If that was my child at a table, it'd be shouted at. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're following trends that are ridiculous. And
meaningless, isn't it? Some of them things that you could come across.
yeah, but through that, kids they're getting less manners, they're getting less respect. They're growing up thinking it's acceptable behaviour and it's not. But I think also you've got two generations that are mixing. You've got an old generation where your mums and your dads and your nanas, you had to be in when the light was out. The only way to communicate was picking up a phone line or writing a letter. And now you're trying to push into a society where everything's open, innit?
Absolutely.
You've got parents trying to teach in a generation that no longer exists. And I think that's what's difficult with teenagers and kids now, because they think it's cool to watch YouTubes and TikToks, but then they're not age appropriate, are they?
No. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so that's actually the end of all our questions.
Okay.
But, you know, thank you for joining us today and sharing your story with us.
No, it's
been
fine.
great to have you on. So Nergis actually touched on the last question about what advice would you give to models, but obviously you've covered that. So, yeah, thank you for joining us, and hopefully, you know, people out there will watch that and
There's anything else that you want to
difference.
share, because this is for creating awareness to the people that could understand the young, especially young boys and girls that are listening to us. So do you have any things that you want to share today to create awareness to the society? So that's the main thing we are here today.
I think from a mental health perspective, don't suffer in silence, but speak when you're ready. Don't feel pressured, don't feel forced. But as long as you've got a good support network around you, then anything is possible. And take it from a person who's been down the line of not wanting to be here anymore and taking a step to ending my own life. There's more ways to deal with things and better ways to deal with things than taking the wrong step, because that's a step that I would never take again, and I live with regret for the rest of my life through trying to take. So if anyone is struggling and watching this, then seek support, seek help, and whatever you do, don't feel like you're alone, because there's a lot of people going through the same problems as you, or similar problems, or relatable problems that can give you advice.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Thank you. Thank you, Rebecca.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys. See
Thank
you
you,
next
guys.
time.
Bye.